cost them a lot.
Right, all right, well, we're gonna go into the Battleground pool and see where we're going for game 2, but props to Team Zealots that they were able to have the wherewithal to get behind and then have the punishment versus a team like Team Dignitas to bring it back and notice that placement, that positioning. And now, with that, they tie up this best-of-7 series with Team Dignitas having that 1-game advantage coming through the winner's bracket. And next, we will be going to, well, it depends. Team Dignitas has the Battleground choice or first pick. They're going to choose first pick, and the choice is Battlefield of Eternity by Zealots.
No surprise. Yeah. This is kind of one of those maps that we saw in that series in week 5, and this is where Chris kind of exploded with that big Dragon Zero that kind of opened up the game onto 2 members of Dignitas. And I think this is one of those ones where Dignitas has openly stated when we talked to them before that they didn't feel that this is one of their stronger battlegrounds. And for Zealots, they love to fight. They love to bring the fight to Dignitas, which is, I think, one of their biggest weaknesses right now is when somebody comes back and brings it to them, and Zealots, I think, is the team to do it.
Yeah, it's a huge statement from Zealots to win that game, win Volskaya, get the punishment on that play, and then to go even further and pick another favorite battleground for them, but then also versus Dig, because Dig know that that momentum is there for Zealots. The crowd is behind them too.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very important moment. I mean, it's a best of 5 at this point, right? Yes, it is a best of 7 series, but it's 1-1, right? So from this point on, the players are just thinking, okay, 3 maps, that's all we need.
Good point.
Like, as a pro player, you're always just focusing on the current map, only BOE, that's all we're thinking about. You only think about it at 1 game at a time. The Blaze ban being hovered by Team Dignitas, and I honestly, Zealots have shown so much prowess on that hero, and Zarmony, I mean, literally won that team fight, won that game for them, hitting a 4-man Blaze stun. I really like this ban, I really like getting rid of it. The question is Zealots gonna get rid of Tracer, or is it the Maiev?
It just seems like, all right, we finally get the Blaze ban. It seems like it should have been here. I think something to, like, since the lower bracket, Zealots is now something like 12-2. And a lot of that has been Blaze. I don't know if people are watching, but Zarmony is just like, hey, need a light? And now we finally have the fire extinguisher in a ban.
So with the Maiev ban, can we assume it be the Tracer that high priority because it's Battlefield of Eternity for Dig, or do they kind of deter against that? So something more like the Malfurion and then hope they can get it later on? Hasn't
Dig been leaving Tracer to making sure that they have 1 of 2 picks with it? Giving up if there's not going to be with Malfurion, then making sure that they can get Tyrael with it? Is that a concern?
The answer doesn't seem like it's the case. I think the only time that I view that is like a very, not necessarily safe play, but less risky for sure is on BOE, right? It's one of the few moments where you're like, Tracer just naturally complements the map. She's not just walking around hoping she can kill things. So I do like to see that adjustment here for Dignitas with that priority, but now it raises a lot of questions. I do wonder, is it going to be the Stukov high priority for Shad, or they got to deny the Malfurion? I feel like I've got to be focused with the Malf denial.
Yeah, I mean, I also feel like a hero that we need to bring up is Abathur, right? Abathur Tracer has been a duo that's been shown multiple times at the tournament. Because I was thinking, okay, easy, Zealots is just going to pick up the Malf Tyrael, right? And then what does Dignitas do, right? There is no Blaze for them to follow up with, but I feel like Abathur is something that Zealots might be thinking about. That might be why this, clock is running down. I feel like maybe a Genji Abba could be strong, but then you're giving over Tyrael Malfurion. Okay, it is the Abathur Tyrael. I like this rotation coming out from them because of, they are so strong on Stukov, right? There are so many supports that they really shine on because Shad is just so good at them, so they don't have to pick up that Malf.
How though, Tyrael Abathur, there's a couple of different high priority, awesome damage dealers that could go with that, but now with Team Dignitas having 2 more picks and a ban before Zealots even get to that point, are they gonna be able to get something for that?
It almost feels like there are some plays to deny a little bit. The Abathur obviously is the ADRD hero, and when you look down Chris's hero pool, we saw the Hanzo on this battleground earlier, but it wasn't necessarily the scatter arrow build that we thought would be part of the race. It was more of that explosive arrows going in, and I think that there are some priority targets. We've seen them have a wide variety, but I feel with Tracer already gone, Hanzo rises up in priority. And then beyond that, Greymane has been that thing that the clone for Abathur is a natural clone. Will Dignitas pick that up for themselves and deny it, or will it make it into the ban?
So the Malfurion and Arthas coming out for the side of Team Dignitas. I like the Malf for sure. Arthas as well, I feel like he's been really, his priority has risen over these past couple series, and I like it. Traditionally I thought it was kind of the counter to Blaze, but since Blaze is not even in this game, I guess they just like it as a deterrent to something like that Greymane. I mean, Greymane Abathur, as well as that's one of Chris's best heroes. I know Calder up here always mentions Chris is so strong on that hero. He is so patient. He is so good at playing from that range for him and going in at the very last second to finish off that kill. And Arthas is a good hero into that, stopping that. And Genji being hovered by Dignitas as the ban. I like this.
Look at every pick on the side of Team Dignitas. Every pick in ban other than debatably Blaze. And then out of Zealots, going with an Abathur and Tyrael. The Abathur Tyrael do struggle in the early game. Look at Team Dignitas. Tracer, phenomenal in the early game, synergizes with the Malfurion, provides reasonable kill potential at the earlier stages. Arthas, one of the best early game warriors in the game when it comes to damage output and consistent threat and kill potential. Dignitas is just relying on the fact that after the Genji ban, beyond the fact that it's complementary and rather standard considering these comps, but it just cripples the early game that much harder for Zealots. And that's one thing we always have to look at on the map. Greymane will help compensate for this, but it's just really, is that too much for the later stages of the game? Because as this tournament has evolved in Battlefield of Eternity, there has been almost no time to side soak. Every composition that has moved towards the later stages is so disabled because all-in, flashy, hardcore initiation teamfights is so dominant in this meta that it doesn't seem like it has the time to get to that point. And right now, I feel like unless, I'm missing something here into the early stages, maybe the Uther to help make up for that. No, instead it's going to be the Stukov for Zealots. It's just a heavy concern for me now, especially with that Stukov.
I feel like we may see something like a Diablo or Garish coming out as the last pick for Zealots. I mean, Diablo has traditionally been a hero that is very strong on this map and very strong into Tracer. I mean, I will never forget watching Breeze play Diablo and just absolutely destroying Tracers. So, I mean, that hero, if you are able to get the devastating charge into a wall, it just allows you to one-shot people. And Mopsio told me that is one of his favorite heroes to play just for fun, right? Just as such a strong hero, allowing you to be able to carry from that tank role. What is Team Dignitas' response going to be? I mean, you obviously need a second tank. I mean, I feel like something like Leoric is decent. They do have the Cursed Bullet coming out from the Greymane, so it is a little bit risky, but I still think it's a pretty solid side soaker. I could also see them go for something like an Anu, securing more CC, J-How.
I think that they could go into that. It's obviously going to be Wubby. He loves playing that secondary warrior. They do get the Anubrak. They end up with a Tassadar. This is not overly surprising. Polk has normally been the Tracer. Snitch, going back to an old comfort pick, he's played a lot of Tassadar in his career. You kind of get that. You have that added protection, and you deal with a lot on the front line. And when you see, and this is the one thing about Dignitas, even in their last draft in the loss, they were willing to ban something, give up a little bit, and then deny with picks. And they were willing to give up the Greymane by just picking up the Arthas before that second ban, denying the Greymane. And so the way that they draft should really be taken note of is that they have a long-term plan in place, and that was with the Arthas pick. And then I actually really like the Anubrak and Tassadar here.
I mean, my only qualm with Dignitas' draft is they have no race, right? What happens if you get a kill or two? Okay, it's going to take you 15 seconds to actually do anything to the Immortal. So yes, I think it is a very powerful skirmishing comp, which Zealots is a team that loves to skirmish. But going back to what Dred said earlier, Dignitas really needs to exploit the early game of the Abathur, and I don't know if they have the tools to do that. Yes, they have the tools to get kills, but once you get those kills, it's very difficult for them to either push down buildings or, finish off that Immortal.
I agree with you.
Diablo.
I can't help but feel like maybe that Tassadar is committing too much into the Tracer avenue and too much kill potential and lacking in that race, because if they do fail to get those kills and because the race is now so weak, even if they get a couple of picks, if they can't deal with the Immortal, it's going to be problematic. It allows Zealots to get to the later stages, and when you look at Zealots comp post 10, post 13, it's aching. I mean, it would go toe-to-toe with the best compositions.
What are you thinking about Zarmany now? It's been a little while since we've seen him on anything other than the Blaze. I'm guessing that will be a Zarmany Tyrael. What are your thoughts there, J-How?
It does feel that way. I think the one thing that stands out to me most is that, and it was something that was going through my brain as we got into this draft, is that we don't normally see Zealots as being the one. I said that they were willing to stand their ground and take a fight. They're not necessarily the ones that are the dive-heavy compositions forcing the fight. With the Abathur, now with the Greymane, the Diablo, and the Tyrael, that is a heavy dive composition. On the side of Dignitas, we see the Malfurion pickup. Twilight Dream is a good response, but I almost wonder if we might see the old AoE heal action going on with a little tranquility.
I don't know. We'll save that prediction for if that comes true. That's J-How's prediction. What's your prediction for the winner of the game, Mike?
I'm giving it to Zealots again. I really like their draft. I feel like Dignitas did not draft enough PvE or ability to punish, right? It doesn't matter how good you kill if you can't do anything after it. So I think Zealots is going to take this game. I think it's going to go late, and their comp is better late game in my eyes.
J-How.
I'm picking Dignitas, but if we see Zealots get the first Punisher or the first immortal, and they don't get a big shield, look for them to try and exploit that Greymane and really try and get some early structure damage. And if they get that lead, maybe be able to maintain it. So I actually going with Dignitas, but this is much closer, I think, than it appears originally.
I'm going to stick with Dignitas. I think it's one of their, kind of weaker maps, and I still question whether or not the Tassadar is worth the commitment. But Blaze has been a problem, and Zarmany has been getting in it for free for very long periods of time, and I think that Zealots looks like a new team today, and I can't help but feel like there's a little bit of a correlation between those two. So taking that away makes me go, I still have faith, but if Dig fails here, I'm really scared for their future if they can't even deal with Zealots.
Well, Mike seems to have Zealots figured out, and that's enough to sway my vote. I'll send my vote over to the Zealots, and let's see if they can go up in this series versus an indomitable tyrant of an opponent that is Team Dignitas. You guys are also in agreement. You're liking Zealots, you're feeling it. Let's see how they can do as we head back to the casting desk with Trixler and Caldor.
Thank you, Gilly. Blaze has been banned out, but will it be enough to snuff out the hot streak of the Zealots, Caldor?
Zarmany is 9-2 with Blaze at this point, so it's definitely a huge asset of the Zealots, and it might just be enough to give Dignitas a win. But we're not there yet. We're heading into our second map here. The series in scores is tied thanks to Dignitas' advantage coming from the winner bracket. But to the left, we have Mopsio on Diablo, ADRD on Abathar, Zarmany this time on Tyrael, Chris on Greymane, and Shad on Stukov. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Zealots!
On the right, Zelia on Malfurion, Wubby on Arthas, Snitch playing Tassadar, JPO on Nubrak, Poik on Tracer. It's Dignitas!
This series is already fire. The grand final and the Zealots, they're continuing the Cinderella story. They fell early in the winner bracket to the North American #1 seed, to Tempo Storm, not taking a map. And since then, they've been clawing their way to this grand final, and they showed some impressive performance, to the extent that Dignitas themselves said, this is going to be a lot harder than a lot of people expect.
I know, I'm keeping my eye on Poik. I think Michael really nailed it on the desk there. He's going to have a lights-out game here to be strong on BOE. But if anyone can do it, it is Poik. He started this trend here in HGC Europe, where we saw Dignitas destroy on this character.
And we also, of course, have to keep our eyes on Tyrael, since now Zarmany finds himself on a different hero. Shad has shown exceptional play throughout this entire tournament. The Western Clash was definitely his, and his Stukov play has been nothing but exceptional. This is another opportunity for him to improve and show how good he is on that hero and how much of an impact he can have on those team fights.
Already an impale coming out. Greymane's gonna be the target. JPL goes in for a knockup, but with the silence coming out, Team Dignitas isn't gonna be able to get too much damage there, but they are at least putting some damage on this turret, trying to grab that experience lead.
Yeah, Dignitas is definitely trying to pressure here quite heavily. They're also attempting, of course, to exploit Abathar's early game. This is one of the consistent things we see when Abathar is being played, that teams attempt to punish him early on before the level 10 comes in and he has access to that additional 15-point pool that Ultimate Evolution represents.
Abathar goes to the top lane to soak for now, as Tyrael did take a little bit of damage from Wubby. So Arthas getting that lane pushing for him, but Tyrael should be able to join soon. Finally, that turret falls towards the south, and a second one should be picking up pretty soon too. With Poik constantly get the shield from Tassadar, you're able to get aggressive.
Yeah, both teams also absolutely on point when it comes to the spray game here. Sprays coming out on both sides, and here comes the engage. Mopsio going straight for it. A great silence coming out of Stukov as well. Poik is already in trouble, and Chris is attempting to follow it up here. Forces JPL back, no kill, but Zealots definitely showing that they can turn this around quite easily if you give him an inch.
Definitely shows the strength of what Diablo can do against a Tracer. That point-click stun, if you're near a wall and able to get that slight stun, and Greymane follows you up with an Abathar stun, as well as a silence, pretty scary. And speaking of pretty scary, Mopsio in the middle here going for an engage, and they'll be able to pick off Malfurion.
Chris going beast mode here, and they're not done yet. Mopsio once more, but he goes a bit too deep, and he is being obliterated by a Tracer. Job well done by Dignitas, getting the counter kill against Mopsio, but it shows again the aggression of the Zealots.
Biting off a little bit more than he can chew. Diablo will be back soon, but so will be Tracer. Immortal spawning in 13 seconds. All about those mercenary camps. Greymane jumping on it already, and we will have our first Immortal phase coming now, Caldor.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about talents before we're heading into it. We have on Abathar currently the Carapace variation in regards to the build, especially on Battlefield of Eternity. In the past, we have seen a lot of Toxic Nest focus, where you try to slow down rotation, you get vision granted for your team. But in this case, and in this tournament, at the Western Clash, we have seen the prioritization prioritization of regenerative microbes and the sustained carapace. And that will help in these fights as we once again have Mobstio at that front, and Abathur needs to try and help out, but Mobstio's in trouble, and there's just no saving him. Tracer takes him down as Poik goes in for another kill.
Brilliant play there by Poik. Moving forward, trying to get that Immortal Sun to come out so his team could develop and get straight on top of Mobstio. And Mobstio had nowhere to run with Tassadar dropping down that Tickle Bean and slowing him down. Dignitas getting the kill, and they are making it work here with the Tracer composition.
Yeah, they definitely are. And this is, of course, a really unfortunate timing for that kill against Diablo, since the Zealots were at least attempting to slow this down. Now we're having the race starting, and the only idea on the Zealot side is to at least reduce the shield, reduce the threat level of the Immortal that you will have to face. And they do a pretty decent job here, especially, of course, with Greymane and also with Abathur. You can push the damage out so they're able to reduce it to roughly 40% shields, but Dignitas still gains control of the first objective.
All due to that pick. Team Dignitas now will have the Immortal pushing the top lane, and this is where Tracer gets scary. If you're able to jump in and get a pick during this push, you'll see them go past forwards, but Mobstio comes in from the side trying to force the issue himself.
The roots are immediately there. Zelia was waiting for it. He was definitely waiting for this one, and now they're just trying to retreat here. The Immortal pushes in, Abathur takes the bot lane for the extra experience as Team Dignitas is using the 5-man at the top lane. They want the fort.
They are definitely committing to this experience here. If they get that fort, they can easily jump into level 7 and get closer to that level 10. Will be the next target. Howling Blast comes out, hits Mobstio, but with him having an Abathur shield, he's just fine.
Yeah, the bottom lane, the little slugger, has moved out into experience range so that AD can now also soak with his body, not only with his symbiote. And we're seeing something that we saw already in the previous games. Needle Spine taken as the level 7 talent, not heading into Mule here, instead focusing off the extra damage. And also when it comes to talents, Quicksilver Bullets. Again against Tracer, a fantastic tool when you play Greymane.
Yeah, against Tracer and Genji, typically you want to move in that level 7 talent for Greymane, being able to have that slight extra range to allow you to get an extra auto attacker in. And when they have that small health pool, it could definitely be beneficial for setting up that kill later on. Team Dignitas continues the trend of grouping up as they run to the bottom lane, but look at the top. Zell's doing the same.
Yeah, and Zealots have taken an experience lead. Abathur really coming through for them. But as you said, Dignitas is trying to take structures. And the more structures they take, the farther they will set themselves ahead. And now they are able to take the fort down. It's a trade against the one to the top. So both of the teams still fairly even. And I mean, let's just face it. At this point, if you have the Abathur composition, you're absolutely okay with that.
Yeah, you're not looking for a fight here. You're looking to get to level 10. And if you get the structures for free as your opponent is the same and you mirror them, you'll be able to get that 10 easily.
They are willing to scale into the late game. And the scary thing for Dignitas is that if you think about our first map, Volskaya Foundry, for 16 minutes, Dignitas absolutely dictated the pace and the direction of the game. And then with one fight, the Zealots did not only come back into the game, they immediately ended it.
Level 9 about to hit for Zealots. That 10 getting closer for both our teams. It's incredibly tense on how close they are. Team of Dignitas saw Diablo coming from the top, but they backed up playing it safe here, setting up a trap. Can they find Chris? If Chris were to overstep his bounds, it would definitely go for the engage. They find a Mobstio instead.
Mobstio dives in deep though, and they are focusing on once again. The silence is there. It's fantastic. Shaq with a place once again. The kill, the double. Arthur's down, Tracer down, Malfurion. It's the triple, baby, as the Zealots go in and try to drop the Beetle as well, but the turnaround against the Immortal, this is insane.
That could not have come at a worse time for Dignitas. 10 hits here, Immortal starting as well, and Zealots with the superior race with Greymane immediately jump on top of it, and they're gonna get a massive lead.
Chat, once again, the fight happens at the perfect choke point, and just look at the silence that's come out here.
Body blocks.
Body blocks everywhere, and they're just stuck in the silence. They can't do anything, and then Mobstio slams them into the silence right after that. The only one that can escape the carnage is the Beetle. It's crazy. The Zealots, what's happening to this team? This is fascinating.
Absolutely on fire. Dignitas could not get past that hunk of meat of Diablo, and Diablo now getting those souls, and he can now afford to die if he needs to come back on a resurrection. So expect a little bit more aggressive play for Mobstio, who has that Apocalypse. Massive Immortal here for the Zealots, and they'll make sure to protect their regen globes, and they're setting up for a push to the south.
Zealots didn't even think they would be here. Mobstio, the captain, he sent out a tweet talking about how they were booking their vacation.
Yeah.
Chet actually booked the vacation.
He had to cancel it.
He had to cancel it because they said there's no way we're beating Dignitas in the regular season and no way we go to the Western Clash. Then they take down Dignitas to come here, and now they are doing so well against them in the grand final.
A direct quote, coming to the Western Clash was a mistake. We didn't mean to be here, but Dignitas, they're trying to make sure they don't make mistakes. They go in for an engage, they look at Shad. Shad gets low, he has a lot of health. They're gonna have this identification in the last second. Gonna be able to survive, and JPL gets taken out.
Are you kidding me? Poik is being attacked here. He wants to kill. Shad survives. How is Shad still alive? He gets jumped, and then the shove alone was fantastic. Zomany is there with a perfect sanctification. Snitch is down. What's happening?
Zealots still have the Immortal too, so they're gonna keep on pushing, and they're about to get level 13 as well. Can they go for a keep? 15 seconds before Tassadar is here. Tracer is about to spawn. Zealots, are they gonna play with fire? Yes, they keep pushing.
Zealots are absolutely dominating the #1 seed of Europe right now in this second game. They're playing such a fantastic series thus far. The silence in again. Wooby at the front. They're desperately trying to hold on to the keep. The fight's continuing. The shot comes out again, creating some space. Mobstio on the way back. Tassadar with the storms, trying to soften the hit point pools, but the keep is gone.
Dignitas thinking about chasing down, and they're gonna go for it. Cocoon comes out, landing on Greymane. Can they get the engage they want?
13.
Dancing Sounds comes out.
They have 13 against them. They shouldn't fight here.
Howling Blast hitting 2, Greymane being the target. Chris on the side, but a massive shove to push away the fight. Dignitas is unable to chase.
Dignitas cannot chase this, and they shouldn't. They're 2 levels behind, they're talent behind. This is getting rough at this point. They need the perfect engage in one of these fights. They need Cocoon to make it happen. They need Zelia at the front for their Twilight Dream, and it is going to be difficult to make that play happen.
Team Dignitas in a very difficult position right now. Zealots continuing to have the Avatar composition. Ultimate Evolution's up. Apocalypse coming into the talent advantage. Things are not looking good. Dignitas is going to have to find a way to get an engage, and they keep chasing it. JPL comes in, he dives in.
They're going in, they're trying to get the kill, and they might actually get it this time. Chris is low. Poik
Oh,
wants it. Avatar is there, and finally the kill for Dignitas. Is it the turnaround attempt? Mobstio moves in, he wants Wooby, he gets him, but he can't confirm the kill, and the Cocoon is on the ground. ADRD, the Slug on the move back. Diablo, Mobstio, he's about to fall, he gets the shield, he gets the sanctification. Mobstio is still alive.
Zomany being chased as well. Post bomb comes out. Mobstio finally falls. Zelia get the Twilight Dream as well on Tyrael, and Dignitas is fighting back.
Zelia had no mana, and it's finally there, and he gets the Twilight Dream, and Dignitas is back to business.
13 about to hit, and guess what? Immortals in 30 seconds. We got a game on our hands.
Dignitas didn't have the 13 talent, but they saw the opportunity to go for the kill, and they got it. Greymane goes down, Chris gone, and then they clean house. They make sure that Diablo dies, and it took them ages to confirm the kill. AD already was there, Zarmany with the sanctification. It looked as if Mobstio could escape, but Dignitas moved in, and then finally we saw the Twilight Dream from Malfurion. What a back and forth game.
Dignitas absolutely committed to this fight here, chasing Mobstio. This is the shield that you were talking about, comes out at the last second into a sanctification. Heal coming in from Shad as well, but the Cocoon afterwards here. Really great after the pulse bomb to make sure that the Twilight Dream came in and landed on Tyrael. Beautiful play.
Zelia with the plays here. I mean, first of all, the roots, laying down the lawn here to make sure that Diablo can't even escape, and then he's the one to go for the silence. He hits all 2 of them, and then they get the double kill. Great play by Dignitas, but still, Zealots are ahead, and they've taken the earlier keep.
And they still have the great Immortal race. Lucky for them, Dignitas is in a spot where they can defend here. They have a top camp pushing in. They have to defend the bottom lane. Wubby and Poik will start to shred that down where they can, where Zealots are looking for the opportunity to start pushing forward, even setting up possibly a gank or a defense on the top lane. Zealots playing timid right now, waiting for Dignitas to move.
Yeah, this is starting to get really, really nasty here. Again, Dignitas on the march forward, but we heard it from the analyst desk earlier. They only tickle that Immortal, but as long as Zealots don't react, it doesn't matter too much. Bot lane is pushing, and eventually Dignitas will have to react to it, but the Zealots are absolutely willing to give up the halftime show.
Wubby turns around for Howling Blast. They look at Mobstio, put him down on damage, kiting backwards.
Big problem is, of course, that with Mobstio dying, he's now a lot lower in the hit point pool.
That is true. Saw the poke already. JPL goes in. Cocoon then called. Tyrael been hit, so he can't sink, and that's going to be a Greymane.
Dignitas is not the #1 seed in Europe for nothing. They go for the kill, they kid Greymane, and that's the one kill they want. Zomany was a bit too late here. Great Cocoon in this position, and still Tyrael escaping. But Dignitas is showing signs of life. They are simply saying, boys, we are not here to lose to the Zealots. That is not happening again. It happened in the season. It will not happen at the grand final.
They're showing that coordination, that confidence that we were expecting from them, that we saw all weekend, that we saw throughout the entire HGC in the first 5 weeks. And that confidence will get them an Immortal here, and they'll have their own push in the bottom lane. Can Zealots defend this with Greymane spawning in about 3 seconds?
Yeah, at this point, Zealots should be able to, especially since we can always... this is one of the scary things. We can later on, not now, but we can actually see backdoor attempts really nicely from Zealots because they have Tyrael with Sanctification and they have a double Grey main. Super important to note here. So when it comes to a really late game where the Zealots have a chance to go for these backdoor attempts against the core, there's a good chance they are making this happen. So Dignitas needs to be very wary of this and needs to make sure that they have vision later on.
Dignitas goes for a pincer maneuver with Taz that are being back home defending against the catapults that were on the core. They decide to put their other 4 units up in the top, well 3, as the Nubrak goes to the bottom and floats around that Immortal. This has allowed for them to start soaking and get towards that 16 as Zealots to sit back on defense as they have to split their units to do so. Yeah,
the 16 is there, but Dignitas has done a fantastic job splitting on the map and gaining as much experience as they could. So now they are very close. This is nearly tied again after Zealots took a massive, massive lead during the mid-game. 7 kills against 6. Dignitas about to hit the 16 talent, and we are definitely in for a treat here. So much transference on 13 for Abathur, so strong, and the speed on 16. But here comes the attempt for Chris again, and he dies once more. Point with a kill. He has the eye for it, he chases him down, and Chris just can't stay alive in these engagements.
Zarmany constantly getting hit with the Cocoon, is unable to use Sanctification, and Dignitas with 2 kills are looking for a third. Zarmany's able to get away, but the Keep, it's not gonna be so lucky. There's minions here.
Yeah, the Keep is going to fall, and the question is how far is Dignitas willing to take this? At this point, Diablo's down for another 30 seconds, 20 on the side of Greymane. They keep about to go down, and Dignitas, they are thinking about it. If they can get another kill, they could go for core, and they're already threatening it.
10 more seconds for Greymane. 15 for Diablo. Sanctification gets used, and Nubrak heightened backwards, and with the root popping in, Zealots deter Dignitas from moving in on the core, but the Immortal coming up soon.
Sanctification just used to buy time here. Sanctification and the Silence immediately, they said, guys, we have to do something. If we don't slow them down, they might actually pull it off. And Dignitas, you could see, they were thinking about it. They're moving back and they're taking the camps. But the one thing that the Zealots have to do is they need to keep Chris alive.
I'm worried though, because now with Sanctification being down for 70 seconds, how do they do that? So far, they have been able to get a Sank out, and Greymane's been the focus every single time. JBL gets the engage.
Mobster has died 4 times, and Chris has died 3 times. Mobster is the frontliner, has to be in the thick of things. And at the same time, Chris is, of course, with the main damage output, one of the main targets for Dignitas, and Poik has been looking for him. At this point, the Sanctification has to be there, Abathur has to be there, Diablo has to create some space, and also Shat needs to be there with a lurking arm to make sure that Greymane doesn't instantly die, because that has been the biggest problem for the Zealots in the past few fights.
Well, the Immortal race will start. Chris jumping on that Immortal, able to chunk it down pretty quickly. Dignitas hanging in there though, just a barely. Zealots will be ahead, but only by 2,000 health. Wubby on the left side comes in for a Howling Blast, and he hits Diablo.
They're starting to go in. Here comes the APOC. Mobster is low, but he goes for the flip over. He has his domination right now, but once again, Diablo is dead. Malfuri with the Twilight Dream is just wreaking havoc here. The Abathur copy is already down. Zarmany barely jumping out. He still doesn't have access to Sanctification. That was what you pointed out earlier. The biggest problem at this point for the Zealots was the lack of one of their biggest ultimates.
Even if he had the Sanctification, I don't think he would have gotten off either. JPL constantly lands cocoons before Zero can even do anything. Team Dignitas wins a team fight, and that'll be a second Immortal for them.
Yeah, this Immortal is going to move up through the top, and already the bottom keep is lost to the Zealots. They looked strong in that mid-game, but Dignitas has come back with a vengeance. 18.5 in experience, in levels. The catapults on the bot lane, they're still defended against. And this is mainly also because of Abathur. He's constantly starting to push these lanes out again. So ADRD is doing a fantastic job just keeping the lane pressure on no matter what happens. But the problem for the Zealots is just simply that Dignitas has found their rhythm.
As it get more difficult too, with Epicenter coming online at that level 16, that area of effect when you had that burrow charge coming in, you cannot group up against that. Or you'll have multiple members popped up for Tracer to come in and drop that level 13 auto attack. Gonna have the Immortal pushing by itself in the top lane. Team Dignitas does not elect to move in yet. They had to push out that bottom lane that you mentioned earlier.
But great burst against the Immortal here. Great job by the Zealots, and this push is not even gonna get the keep.
Wow. Zealots with the defense, Dignitas having to clean up the map. They choose on the last 2 Immortals just to get experience, and it's going to work out for them. They get 19.25 experience, a full level over the Zealots.
Again, the question just remains if eventually we're going to see a Fnatic call here. A call for the core with the double Greymane and the Sanctification on Tyrael is always possible. It's one of the reasons why Dignitas made sure to push out the bot lane. They needed to, because if they don't, then they lack the vision and they will never see it coming. So this gave them at least safety. And I feel one of the next reasons why Dignitas didn't commit to the top lane is that they just realized, guys, if we place a bit safer, we have 20. Let's play around 20 and let's play the safe, because if Zealots showed one thing so far in this tournament and also in this series is if they see a chance, they will punish you and then they will carry it all the way.
Well, with Zealots being back in the base, Team Dignitas goes on the map a little bit more here. They know they need that experience to get to the top left, and they poke a little bit with the Tassadar, the Side Storms, providing vision, blanketing their opponents, making sure they know where they're at. Dignitas will dance a little bit while Poik builds up that bomb.
Now, Poik is just waiting to dish the damage out once again, and they are waiting for 20 as well. Storm Talents are so close right now, 14 Dignitas, and they want them.
At level 20, Get Stuff comes online for Tracer. A deadly combination, especially if Saint can't come out in time, and so far it has not. That 20 finally achieved here by a Dignitas. Wubby steps forward. They have a big window.
They have definitely a huge window here, and if they get kills, then they can use it to end their game, and that is exactly what the Zealots are afraid of right now. They're dancing around their core, but Dignitas is heavily pushing through the bot lane now, trying to get the catapults in position. The cooldowns are ready though. Zarmany has it, but still we're waiting for the cocoon to come out from an Uberak when Dignitas finally flips the switch.
Zealots holding the corner, trying to keep Dignitas here. Zarmany goes in for a little bit of harassment. A Howling Blast will hit on ADRD. That is the clone that had to be used for defense.
Big problem here, using the copy already, and here comes Snitch. Comes the APOC. They're going for the kill. They're fighting. Tracer is down. Mopsio finds the kill. The Twilight Dream comes through, and the copy is finally dead, but the cocoon has also been used. And now we are seeing Tyrael unleashed with the sanctification. Mopsio might be able to charge, and once again, Dignitas has lost Tracer, but Chris is also in trouble now.
Snitch still has the Archon that's going to be helping out, but the root comes out. Shad does it again this tournament. He helps get a kill, and now Wubby, Zillia, and JPL are hoping to escape while Zealots hit level 20, but they're not getting out. Marfield with the body slam.
Wubby, it's down. It's a triple kill. They can't go for the core. They can't go for the core. Zelia is about to fall as well. Chris goes in. They're getting the kill. Shad is there. Zealots have done it again. 11 kills against 9. They are on 20. Only a Nubarak is there. Tracer is back in 16, but not even Poik can stop this.
Zealots seem unstoppable. And Nubarak back home trying to set up defense. Tracer will be here in 10 seconds, but with a Greymane on the core, with an Abathur hat, it looks like this game is done as Zealots start shredding through it.
Zealots is going for the core. Dignitas is losing it slowly and steadily. This
80.
There comes Poik once again trying to get the damage off, but Chad is already
70.
in position. We have Trey doing work. Zarmany is still there. He can get
40.
the exposure. They're going for it.
30.
And this is going to be it. Zealots
10.
are going to win game
That's
number
it.
2. They're taking it on Battlefield. And Team Dignitas loses the second game in a row to the Zealots.
I have nothing but